In today's video, we're going to have some fun and go through our weekly weekend Q&A round 4. All of these questions were submitted over the last week to the request box, and we're going to deep dive all of them. Now, warning, a lot of these generally are a little bit more beginner friendly versus the other videos on the channel that are more tactical and thinking based around when you're already at a couple 100,000 to over 7 figures a month. All right, so we're going to go through things, everything from standing out in saturated niches, structuring your HubSpot to get team data, sales structures, how you know if your team is doing a good job, mindset, identity, all the things. And we are going to wrap it up with advice I would give my 20-year-old self. Great. Can't wait. So last year we did 30 million in our info coaching business. We have now done 73.5 million in total cash collected. And I'm not selling you anything. No guru, no courses, no nothing. Everything on the channel is to share what did work for us, what did not work for us, and what we are actively doing to scale to over 100 million a year. And the whole goal of this is so I can find talent for our companies, opportunities in the space, and network with cool people doing cool shit. All right. So let's get into it. First one, I'm an 18-year-old from UAE, dope, looking for opportunities to work on. What would you suggest for me to learn or woke upon, learn, okay? I've stumbled upon the e-com industry or service-based industry, and I'm quite unclear on what I could achieve, so I'd appreciate some suggestions. All right, so Iman talks about this. It's actually like one of the selling points when he used to do the survey, when he used to sell for agency stuff. And starting something that is service-based is your time, essentially, is the cost to do it. Right? Versus something like e-com, you are running ads, generally speaking, and you are also then paying for a physical product. There are refunds, there are returns, all this stuff. So starting with something in service is generally speaking going to be the easiest thing to do. It's like crypto trading, like all that kind of stuff also has a cost and you can lose a lot versus service. You are just spending your time. Okay. So what I would do is pick something, a result-based thing for a specific niche. So you're going to help plumbers get clients. You're going to help online brands do, or, physical product store that sells XYZ thing, do this. One thing that's big right now that I see is AI. AI is really the mechanism and what you're doing, not the result you're getting them. So you can do that exact same thing, pick a niche, call it, again, I'm just using plumbers as an example, but you're going to help landscapers or plumbers get XYZ result by using AI. You can use the AI buzzword. There are plenty of people who are doing like AI agency. Just make sure you filter out the bullshit because there's plenty of that, of people who sell stuff. There are tons of guys though that I see on YouTube that you can go watch for free that do like full courses on how to do it. And then also some paid courses in communities that just make sure you join ones that have client success results and the person teaching it has done it and or runs an AI agency or has run one. So you know that you're learning from somebody who knows how to do it. Saw your pod with Eddie and talked about focus as our biggest episode, and that was 2 ago, which is great. I have the same type of supercomputer running brain like you. I do not have a supercomputer running brain. My question is, what tricks or how do you focus on things for a long period of time? I would actually say I don't do this very well. Like I'm extremely scattered right now with doing this on like personal side for YouTube. There's like personal business side at some level, and then also running the company and operating within that, and then trying to have like a personal actual life. Like it's not working. So I'm doing a very bad job of it. But what I can answer is how looking at things over long periods of time, right? It's like discipline versus motivation. At some level, I'm just like tying myself into this and just doing the discipline. I'm on day 60, whatever, 5, 6 in a row of doing these videos. And the tactic that has helped me is time blocks. So when I've stuck to them, I like live by the calendar. So if it's on the calendar, I'm doing it. The biggest issue I've had is not putting things on the calendar. Like today, for example, I have like 3 things on the calendar, but I've still been at this desk for like 8 hours already or more. And, gone to the gym and done this and that. But like those are the only things I went to because they were on my calendar at those times. So for me, it is blocking those out. And then the other, I think what you're kind of talking about here is like the focus portion of it. I just don't take on other stuff, or I allow myself to do it by saying I'm scratching the interest itch, but knowing that it's not going to become a whole thing on the side. We talked about this a lot in the pod about how like he does a good job of having partners so he can do other industries or other pieces within the industry, multiple companies, multiple projects with partners. I have not gotten good at that. I've never done that. So it's something I want to learn how to do because there are definitely things I want to do that I need help with where I just don't have the time of the day, or I'm not good enough is probably a better way to say it, at structuring my time to do so. Because you have people like, Elon, who's obviously a rare case, but who has multiple companies and he has huge teams and all that, but he does manage to split his focus across those and still achieve like insane results. So it's possible. I don't know that I'm the person to look to on how to do it though. So how to stand out in saturated niches, weight loss as an example. So how you're going to stand out in any niche is going to be results, one, is definitely a thing. Now, results aren't going to necessarily market themselves though, but just having great result, you're going to get unlimited clients through referrals and whatever. I mean, think to the extreme of anything. If you have like the magic pill style of anything, you are going to get endless amounts of customers because the product is so good. So, having your product as the marketing, and then within marketing side of things, if you are, have a general product or a normal product, which most of us have, it is going to be standing out with something that's unique. That's why everyone does, go to ClickBank and see they're selling the same things, but they all have different like unique mechanisms and how they are marketing them. People use the same methods of acquisition. So, VSLs or opt-in funnels or direct to application or low ticket, like they all use a variance of them, webinars, for example, but they stand out by having unique messaging and unique mechanisms that they use. The 7-day fast, what's one that's right now, like PDF farming, like, this unique angle to sell digital products. All you're selling is, PDFs, but it's done in this unique, crazy way that does XYZ. Like that's how they stand out, is they do it by creating allure around what the actual like mechanism to get the result is. And they're all, there's 10 different things that get you the same result. They all get you financial freedom or whatever, or, the body of your dreams, but they use different mechanisms that are like this little known secret that does this unique way to get the result that you don't understand and that you have to buy or talk to someone on the phone or whatever to get. What is a fair percentage of revenue to take from a client? To earn from a client who you make landing pages, emails, and SMS for? That one's very difficult. That's very difficult to answer because it completely depends on how deep you are ingrained in it, how much you are iterating on it, how much you are tied to a lot of things, which is actually kind of like what you're asking. But like I could pay someone $1,000 to do a landing page or a ton of emails and SMS for me. So there are people who already will do it. So it's a commoditized service. It is the result in which you get. So when you're asking for a percent, you're already, in my opinion, like thinking the right way, where you're asking, I just want what it generates. Like there are sales reps and agents, whatever, that come in as full stack and like eat your CRM and go through it. And they'll take a higher percentage because they're generating revenue from what you currently have. With this, they're generally, depending on the traffic source or whatever, they're generating clicks already on their own. Which is a big lever, right? Like traffic, and you are helping them convert them through landing pages, email, and SMS. So I've seen people do rev share deals that are actually pretty large, like 10s and 20 or whatever percent, because it's rev. Like there's costs against that a lot of the time. If they're doing paid, there's ad cost. If they have a sales team, there's sales team cost. They're fulfilling on it instead of an info product, there's team cost. Then you have overhead and softwares and everything. So like straight rip off the top of revenue is kind of crazy. I know guys who do it in low ticket who will do like 20 G's up front and then who will build a whole low ticket thing and then will take whatever 4% or 7% of the low ticket revenue, which again just eats into things because a lot of the time they're doing paid. So I don't necessarily know that I have an exact answer for you other than you have to understand how much value you are generating for them. And the revenue is likely not the number of, because that's not necessarily the value they're getting, especially if they have other cost structures, which is like a little bit out of your control. But to say take profit share is also likely not good because you can't control costs, and that'll be a downside for you. So, I mean, honestly, I would start as high as you can if you're this person. Landing pages, email, and SMS can be extremely valuable. You can get 10% of everything you generate from email. If they already have a ton of emails, you can get more than that even. So yeah, I would just make sure you understand how much value you're actually providing for them, and then try and do the mental math of how much profit they're actually making from it, not just like how much rev, because rev is just like a vanity metric. It's like when I say 70 million or 73 or whatever million, it's like vanity metric at some point. Like we use it, I use it a little bit for like clicks, but it's like, we didn't take home $73 million in cash, I can tell you that. So you have to make sure, like if we paid someone 10% of rev, we would be railed right now because, a lot of companies don't have great margins at scale. So you just have to figure out what makes sense for that business, but you can definitely get a percentage. So would you do a free book opt-in or to a VSL to book a call, a free book opt-in to a VSL, or would you do just an opt-in for a free training to a VSL to book a call? The book attracts my target customer and can get me cheap and somewhat qualified leads versus when I run ads to a free training opt. Okay, so I understand what you're saying. So you're saying if you're trying to do both these, and when you run the book one, you get cheap leads, but when you run the training, you don't. So what that means is that people value this book more. They think they have a higher likelihood, how it's framed. They think they have a higher likelihood of getting the result or whatever you are trying to teach them or help them achieve versus the training. So that just means that your training is not framed in the right way, or they don't see it as valuable. Now, people do just inherently, like, there is a lot to say about a book funnel. There are guys, Chris Benetti, I believe his name is, and someone else that specifically do this. They help you basically create books that are like massive lead magnets. And usually you're going to do that when you have something high ticket, because it's a consumption thing. You're sending someone a physical book. It sits on their physical shelf. They actually read it. They spend hours of time with you, versus when you're on a VSL, it's 22 minutes long or something, and they maybe watch half of it or, all of it. And you only have them for 22 minutes, and then you're trying to get them on a call. So it's all about consumption for the book there. And you're saying they're somewhat qualified. Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a different problem. You need to make sure that the qualified people are the ones that are getting the book, because it doesn't matter if someone who's not qualified is, unless they're somehow going to refer you someone who is qualified. But yeah, that's what I would do there. So and then here, actually add this. When you do a free book funnel to book a call, Anik was talking about this at the event that we went to, where when he will do a low ticket like this or something like this, he will put the VSL in there as like a bonus they qualify for a free masterclass and bolt it on after. So you can package this. Like if right now you're already getting them for this book, I wonder if this is a physical book or just an ebook or whatever. Ebooks are a lot different than a physical. But you can bolt it on as a masterclass that they get qualify for this training. But it sounds like a framing of your training or what you're talking about is not great. So I would change the framing and just mess with it until it clicks. Hopefully that was helpful. How do you structure your HubSpot and get the team to update things diligently? I can't speak. So I assume you're talking, I'm going to actually answer both these because it's HubSpot sales structure and this. So how do you structure HubSpot? So how we do that for the sales structure is essentially everything is going to come in at the contact level, because for us, there's no like companies is not B2B. So you have like companies that exist. A company can have multiple contacts, and then contacts can have deals. And we're just going to talk about those three. Or we're really only going to talk about contacts and deals. A contact exists and will have all the marketing information that happens about them, all the communication that happens. So they'll have dates as fields of when they opted in. If they, re-opted in, we have like different stages of where they're at in the funnel, and then all the dates of when they did the different things. So using a VSL opt-in funnel, you have the opt-in date, you have the application date, you have the booked date, the day they booked on, the day they booked for, you have the close date, and every other thing in between. So like all their application information, all their booking information, we collect the phone multiple times just in case they give you different ones, all of the tracking information, all of that is at the contact level. And then that's all automated. And then when somebody books a call, it generates a deal. So it auto creates a deal or auto populates a deal that will be set for the close date of the day of the call. And will also carry over all their application information, so the sales rep can see all the communication, all their application information, time of call, everything, and will auto assign to the person who they booked with through the round robin. It'll auto assign them through HubSpot. And then the second part of your question, getting the team to update things diligently. You're always going to have slippage on this. The real way to do it is to make it so it is tied to comp. So no one's going to fuck it up if it's how they get paid. So you need to have like approvals in place. Like for us, once someone lands in, the deal is created and the deal stage inside the pipeline is assigned to call scheduled. And then, 8 different things can happen. They can no-show, they can cancel, they can be completely disqualified. They can be pending short-term, pending, long-term nurture, closed, or lost, as in like I could have won it, but I lost it. I think those are all of them. And, you basically need to keep that pipeline up to date. And then we actually have an approval one. So someone will submit it to approval instead of just marking it as one. And then the sales admin team will confirm that the dollar value is actually what was cash collected from the billing team. And they will confirm that that's there. They'll confirm the SDRs on there. They'll confirm all that kind of stuff. Because at the deal level, we'll also track SDRs in there because that's the two-way comp. So those will never get messed up if you tie it to comp. The stuff in between on like, did they show, did they not, whatever, you need to put in some sort of like penalizing thing. You need to have someone who audits it, who knows, if there actually was a call, if there wasn't, especially if you're doing KPIs around things like close rate and stuff like that. But yeah, so I'd focus on that to start. I think that'll get you plenty of the way of kind of like what you're asking me here. But yeah, so that's the core. Feel free to ask like much deeper questions in these and I can answer, but that's kind of vague. Not trying to be sus, but can we get a side shot of the hair? Fucking A. Looks good, but can't tell it's a little longer. I just got my haircut today. It's short as shit on the side, and this usually stands up, but I have a hat on. I don't know how to answer that. How do you know, or how do you manage people? How do you manage people and or learn how to manage people? What systems do you use? 30, 60, 90, scorecards, KPIs, one-on-ones. I am not the best at this, and I haven't managed a ton of people directly. In current state, I don't even know that you call it managing. I basically like operate and like gather. Like we have some strong leaders in place, and those leaders have team. But we do, yes, we have target goals, but we have them as a company combined or a department combined. We have scorecards, the same thing, that are department combined. There are people that are uniquely dedicated and are in charge of a specific number. So yes, they come here and fill out a scorecard for a department, and a media buyer is specific for these, the creative is for these, the sales team or the sales manager is responsible for these, like all those different ones, and they have KPIs that they are targeting and need to hit. So yes, on that, same with sales. A lot of them are automated. We do also make people do manual ones for meetings, even if they're pulling it from an automated one, because we need them to be tied to the numbers. We literally just today, we're like, everyone needs to like emoji respond to the dashboard that fires into the channel every day to understand that you guys are like privy to the numbers, because all the data in the world is at our fingertips. And if you guys don't know what they are and are not changing behaviors based on them to impact them, that's huge. So I think that answers that. And then KPIs, we have like floor and base ones that are for actual just roles, and then also targets. So goal KPIs as well as like minimum KPIs, and then one-to-ones. So yes, the team has one-to-ones. They're really heavy in the sales and setting world. They'll do those like weekly basically. And then the CPO will do, she's done it a couple times where she does one-to-ones with everyone in the company and just does like a pulse check. And that's happened multiple times. And they have it in the entire coaching department. They do it monthly as well. And then for a long time with ops, we did it one-to-one, weekly one-to-ones. And now we just changed those over. We don't do like the crazy in-depth, like, and what's going on in your personal life and what's this and that. Like we already touch base on a lot of that stuff. And like, we will have moments where you have like depth around that, but a lot of it is work related now. And we changed them for this like third layer. I made a video about this, but we have like our main ops meeting. That's like all the C-level basically. And then we have department specific syncs that are with just like sales management and us as ops and like owners. And then they have their meeting department where they do weeklies with their entire department, which are like the actual sales team, and they go across there. So these ones, the one-to-one at this level is happening like in a department sync. That's 30 minutes a week. And we're trying that right now. So how you actually learn how to do it, there are a million books. There are way smarter people than me that do this for their entire careers, and for 50 years have managed people and scaled teams and done all that. So I would not ask me because I don't have enough experience, but hopefully that helped the system part. How do you know if your head of people is doing a good job? So for us, our head of people is also head of product. So we know it is doing a good job when product has good there and when people are happy. We like to track the people track like churn of team metric. We track if somebody we wanted to stay leaves as like the main metric, which I think is fair, because it's like, you're not doing a good job if people you want to stay on the team are leaving versus if people are just churning. Like sometimes you just, hire fast, fire fast style, or even hire fast, fire slow on accident sometimes, or someone just, changes up in life and it's time to make a change, or they have other goals and stuff. Like that's perfectly fine. So, they're doing a good job if they are, depends on what you're using them for. Like if it's for recruiting and hiring, like are they hitting KPIs on that? In terms of running the team and doing one-to-ones, or they gathering feedback that's actually valuable, that when implemented has positive effect on these KPIs and growth of the company? Are they holding culture? Like ours is a really, really good baseline for our culture, like lives true and true our core values and towards our mission. And you can just see that in how she operates, how she is in channels. When you watch back recordings of things she has in one-to-one or group settings, you can just tell in that. So I don't know that it's a great answer in terms of like KPIs and hard measurables, but it depends what you have them doing in terms of hard measurables. So hope that helps. How did you get to your current position without ever going heavy on personal branding? I fell into a trap where everyone needs to be posting on social media and building their personal brand. And now I just feel burnt out, constantly posting about my boring life. And I feel that. And I understand a bunch of social tactics like hooks, thumbnails, etc. But being the face of the brand just isn't me. I'm an introverted tech geek feel that. And I know I don't have the face or personality for social media, and I wish I could just go into cave mode like you did. But then I hear all these voices from Russell Brunson and Gary Vee saying I need to be posting content. I'd love to just do as you do, lock in building systems and start, because I don't have friends in the space. Also feel that. And I don't have a bunch of case studies under my belt to show employers or partners. All right. So I feel that on a lot of the levels. So this is a good one. I think about the question of this all, though, now that I have some context, is how did you get into your current position without going heavy? So I got into the current position by eating shit and like building sales pages and just doing random stuff as service work. So I was trying a bunch of different online random stuff. I never stuck to anything. That was on me. I was in all the right courses. People were getting success around me and I didn't, and that is on me, right? The courses worked. The programs worked. You can buy any course. You can buy the thing I was talking about earlier, the AI agency course, and make it work as this person and never need to be forward facing. Ever. Like, you do not need the personal brand at all. Russell Brunson, these guys have crushed this. Hormozi crushes this on how they do personal brand. You don't need to do it in order to be successful, because what you're trying to do is just get the result. What the personal branding is connection. It's like inbound. Think of everything like a funnel, right? It's traffic to you. So what I set up there about like what I do this for is I do it for talent, opportunities, and network. I sat in a cave for 7 years and built shit, or longer. And if I wanted to get talent and post somewhere, I had 500 people from my hometown or like my family and friends or whatever that would they're not going to be able to help me get talent for our company, find new opportunities in the space, or network and have conversations and talk about work or like new things or what's working now or anything. So that's why I started doing this. And as soon as I started doing this, I got all of that within, X amount of time. And yes, I assume at some level it's because I can talk about stuff that I learned while building in the cave. Like I learned everything doing it. So how I got into the position was just building and just doing shit real time and buying courses and learning things and implementing and going as we went through. And you can do that anywhere. So whether you start as just because it's only the space I know, but if you start inside like an info business, people are always hiring for systems, tech, like we're hiring for that. Right? Like I'm about to rebuild out that department and that division, and like it's there. It just depends on what level or size of company you can enter if you don't have a lot of experience directly. Like, you don't necessarily need case studies to get a job, but you need like experience, which is kind of the same thing. But in smaller companies, like I didn't have case studies or experience, and I was like, number 4 or 5 on the team. And it was just because I vibed with the co-founder. And it was just like, we were both just building shit and trying stuff online, and I had X amount of experience, but not really. I was not making much of any money, $5,000 here, $10,000 here on random stuff, but that's about it. So I would posting content I think is cool. I wish I kind of would have done it 7 years ago and had like the true build out. I have like a random Instagram stories or snap memories of me doing stuff, but like I wish I would have done more, because it's cool to look back on. And, as long as you just keep going, like you're going to hit it. It's not if, it's, when. So I would do that. I would go try and find a gig somewhere, try and do something that's like growth operator-y, or where you can have like more leverage to have the potential for higher income other than making, $5,000 a month working somewhere. But you can also get paid to learn stuff. You can get paid to be a media buyer and, spend someone else's money. You can get paid to build pages and figure out what works. And then, without testing any of your own money, you're literally getting paid to like learn. So I would just focus on that, especially if you're here, and then you can post content about what you're learning. I think the biggest thing, and like what I'm trying to do here too, is similar, is like, I'm trying as best I can to like have this come off how it feels, which is like no ego. Like this is what we are literally doing right now. This is, everything I talk on is just stuff that we have learned from doing and shit that has failed and some stuff that has worked. And I think the value in being able to post like that is like, you become a funnel builder inside one of these companies that launches, a new challenge funnel every month. And it's like, now we're building this, and you have to, and like, be careful what you're sharing if they haven't launched anything, or if you're allowed to, but sharing about how you're building it, sharing it with like, there's other people just like you, whether it's 10 or 10,000 that are doing the same thing and think it's cool. Whatever you're doing, anything you're doing, if you're weaving baskets, there's people who do that. So like just finding your pocket of people on the internet. And then as you begin to scale up, it's like, maybe it's just page builders for info, and then it's page builders for e-com. And then it's like media buying for e-com. Like the funnel gets bigger as you scale up. And that's like, if I talk about this, all of a sudden next thing it's like personal, it's online business, generic. Then it's like, personal development. Then it's like these different things are different sizes, but you don't have to start huge. Nor should you. So hopefully that helps. I don't know. I don't really know if I answered that. Mindset and identity. I don't know what that means. What was the question? Provide a topic request, mindset and identity. Oh boy. I don't know if I have any. I randomly post them on here. Yesterday I posted about the bottleneck theory, as my coin joke thing, but like it basically just is like it's the big thing, the one thing. There's books on this. That there's one thing in your business or your personal life that is holding you back right now, and whether that is your opt-in rate on your opt-in page, whether it's your close rate of your sales team, whether it is you sitting in front of your computer for 4 fucking hours a day and actually just doing it, or 14 hours a day and just doing it. Mindset and identity. I don't know. That one's tough. I don't really know what you mean on it specific, but yeah, my identity has shifted a ton, and I think I'll answer a little bit actually more of that when I get to this one. So 21, been in sales and marketing for the past 4 years. Nice. Took over 4,000 sales calls or discos, working with multiple 7 and 8 figure agencies. Okay. Agencies, consulting, SaaS, lead gen for realtors, scaling online PTs, which I assume is personal trainers, even helping the creator economy monetize their brands with digital products, challenges, and communities. Okay, so you have some chops. Looking to launch my own offer, and I'm at a crossroad. 50 to 100K months with the target. Cash flow is a priority, so I can play the equity game. I don't know what that means. 50 to 100K, so that's just arbitrary months with a target. So just to like live your life, I assume, is the cash flow is why you want that. And then, so then you can build something that you're not making cash flow on and then potentially sell later. Got it. Don't want to be a part of the coaches to go to coaches industry. I like to stay away from sales calls. Okay. Only on page or DM closes. Okay. Might have to eat some shit for a minute. Sorry. What offer niche positioning comes to mind of what you're doing here? So this whole, I don't want to coach coaches, how to coach coaches thing, that can be solved very easily by, if you're going B2B in this style, and like when I say B2B, it's like selling to people who are coaches, consultants, whatever. It is selling a unique mechanism or process. So if you're coaching coaches on how to coach, like whatever, like I get that. But if you're teaching coaches and consultants how to do a specific thing in a specific unique way or framed as a unique way, and you have good results doing it, that's very easy to sell. So, all these info coaching, consulting people buy from each other because they have different things. One person knows how to crush it with webinars. One person is like the VSL god. One person is like crushing it with organic or like TikTok traffic. One person is like, that's why they all buy from each other, is because they have unique mechanisms, even though they all have the same business model, but generally for other niches. So if you can teach them a unique mechanism for their business of their niche, you can crush it. I don't really know what that is specific to what I see in your experience. Broadly, I'd like to do it I'd like to be in the healthier business, richer demographics, and something. Yeah, go richer no matter what. Go for someone who's doing 100K plus a month minimum. Stuff like that. Don't sell to 0 to 10K people unless you have something dialed and you're trying to do volume. Would you suggest scaling coaches, growth operator model, launch a bio longevity offer, big into hybrid training, soccer? Okay, so sport thing. Sorry, I should have read this. You can growth operate things. Josh Gavin has a course or something or coaching that's called like Offer Publisher, and it's basically around like finding somebody that would be like a soccer MMA run, somebody who's like the expert, and then you build a business around them. You understand the sales, the marketing, that piece of it. So you would build a business around them as the growth operator. And generally speaking, you can take majority of the company when doing it, depending on how you can structure it and depending on how you can sell it in the beginning. You might have to have less if it's your first go at it, but if you have experience, you can definitely get a majority. Or you just build it yourself as the expert. But yeah, do this for sure. Because if you use the sales and marketing thing and don't sell it to sales and marketing and info online people, it crushes, right? So it's like if you were to, you see people on X or on YouTube all the time talking about applying these principles of online marketing and using them for local business or, untapped like industries in that way, you just crush it. So a lot of them have been hit at this point. So there's a model I wouldn't look at that as competition or like saturation. I would look at that as like someone else has already done it. So I think that's helpful. Would you suggest I only focus on one domain through YouTube and ads? If you're talking about teaching them, yes. Teach them through one, teach them only YouTube ads or only Facebook ads or only TikTok or only organic or whatever. And like, there can be stuff into the future that helps them. But like most people, especially if they're beginners, you only need to master one traffic source for, $1 million a month, depending. So, and then for you, same thing. It's like, you only need to do that for $1 million a month. So curious where you see opportunity and if there's anything that excites you in the market right now. I set it up here. I like that AI stuff. I think that it's pretty, when people are like, because it's all about getting the person the result. Again, I've said this like 4 times, but it's like if you're trying to help somebody get clients, It's like, what is the mechanism in doing so? You're going to help them run ads. You're going to do whatever. I mean, they don't really, most of them, depending on the niche you're in, like don't care how you're doing it. All they want is the result. So the difference with the AI thing is like, it kind of has that little sparkle in it, which I guess paid ads did at one point, but it has that sparkle of like, oh, I'm using AI to do it. And you can get a little bit of like leverage in doing that in the sales process. But you have to make sure that it actually works and you're actually using, AI. And where I see AI, I mean, it's everywhere, but like a lot of time it is savings, it's efficiencies, it is distribution and like output increases. It's like doing things more or better a lot of the time. And I'm completely, there's a million other things I don't even know about, but I like that one, I think. And then I really do like this whole build it around an expert. That's what we did, or that's what the co-founder did with the other co-founder before I even came on. I didn't even have the wherewithal to understand that was a business model when it happened. So hopefully that's helpful. What would you give your 20-year-old self advice? What advice would you give your 20-year-old self? Sit the fuck down, humble yourself, keep working, have more fun, don't party. Those come to mind. At 20, I was a shit show. At 20, I don't even know. I was coming back here. I'd failed business online. I was trying to learn the online thing. I hadn't yet gotten to this yet, so I was just doing random online stuff and like back near my hometown after failing, going west and doing that and failing, and was there for a couple years. I'm trying to think where I was at that point. And then at that point, I went out and, moved over towards like a kind of bigger city vibe and was trying to do agency service work. So like trying to build websites and do paid advertising for people. And I had a couple people I did that, and I was building like physical stuff, like physical dashboarding units and like behind like TV screens for physical businesses to like have dashboards and all of that. What advice would I mean, honestly, it would be that. It would be like, I would be understand what your goal is. Know that if you just keep working, you're going to hit it at some point. So like have fun now, because there are things you can do at 20 and 21 and 24 or whatever that you can't do the same when you're 30 or 40 or 60. And like I try to remind myself that all the time. There are things that you have access and opportunity to do depending on what's important to you that you can only do at that age. And you have like the young opportunity to do whatever. So like swing big and try to get into higher leverage things. I also, like if I was talking to my 20-year-old self, it doesn't have this. If I was talking to a 20-year-old right now, there's so much opportunity in the online stuff. Like just hang out on X and Telegram, on YouTube, like these guys, or TikTok, whatever, like these guys crush it. And just making sure that you're like morally aligned, because this stuff follows you and reputation and all that. And I feel like I almost like learned that the hard way. Like I'm sure there's people that don't like me and don't, an ego and stuff, because I was not the best person. Like I was just, I didn't really care. I didn't really have a lot of skills. I started making a bunch of money and was just like not the best. And, I regret that side of it. So I would just try and really stay humble and just like lean into things when there's momentum. I didn't do that. I caught momentum, made a bunch of money or did whatever. And then like kind of like took a foot off the gas, and then the rebuild process to catch the momentum from falling is harder. And then to get into momentum is even harder. And I think I would have reminded myself of that. And then, yeah, just like everything's fun. You just have fun and everything. Work with cool people, do good things, do good by people. Just kind of the core stuff you'd hear. But yeah, for my specific 20-year-old self would definitely be that. And yeah, take big risks. Take a big risk because you can do it there. And the worst case is you get a job somewhere for $55K until you try the next big thing. It's like you can work anywhere. And yeah, so hey man, this is JP. I'd like to understand what your primary KPIs that you guys track and are super important to track in order to figure out where your company is at. Okay. Are there any specific KPIs you automatically calculate through Google Sheets or whatever CRM? Any specific KPI that you think everyone should track based on what sector in the company, like if you have sales team, marketing team? Yeah. So, okay. So I guess what you're asking is like overall, like, let me think about this. Overall, like company health wise is going to be like cash metrics. So, but then they also touch like everything. So if I was to look at marketing, it's like ROAS, it's cost per throughout the entire funnel. I did a video on this, like talking the marketing numbers, but like say your target is 4x new ROAS, like tracking that religiously, and that's new cash ROAS, tracking like total revenue and like future tracking cash collection on that. And then for the big overall company, it's just like, what's your like cash flow of it, and understanding that, and then understanding all your costs really well, and like how much as a percent they are of your total cash, as well as like just the new cash and like unit. So knowing those, and you can automate those pretty easily. once you bucket them. So you just basically have to bucket them. But a lot of this stuff is going to come from marketing if you're doing paid. So you can do a lot of math after that. The next is going to be sales team. That's going to be like activity and result metrics. So things like count of calls, things like cost per call that it comes from marketing. So you know the cost of it. I did a video on return on rep. So you can know, what it truly costs you to have a rep, both in basically like what is their acquisition cost portion as well as their commission portion. So someone who takes 150 calls versus someone who takes 90 calls, but they sell the same amount and get paid the same amount of commission. The one that took more calls is burning you more cash because they're burning, the cost per booking for every single one because they close at a lower rate. So making sure you understand their close rates, the return on rep that you have, and then you're trying to basically figure out like a return on team metric across everyone. And I would hire into kind of offshoot, but I would hire into where it hurts and not try and overstaff early and like project where you're going to need to be. I don't think it's as important as maintaining the cash flow and, keeping the profit higher. So yeah, I mean, we do a majority of ours where you said like between the CRM and Sheets or whatever. CRM for us is sales almost exclusively for any of the metrics and tracking, but we even then offshoot it all into like databases that are like live two-way syncs. So we can look at all the data outside there because I hate HubSpot's reporting or because I'm just bad at it. I don't understand how to do it. I don't know how to do calculations in it like as easily as I can do in a Sheets or like spreadsheet style math. But again, that's just like a limiting understanding I have, and I'm sure I could hire someone and figure that out or learn it myself. But yeah, I mean, I would do that. And then you can also run, it's so easy to be like, oh, I want this number. Like figure out a formula for yesterday, for example. That's like, what was my yesterday's cost per lead, total ad cost, total cash collected, total revenue generated, total new cash and new revenue, total expenses, and what was my, booking count, lead count, app count, close count, and whatever. Like get all of those in one thing pretty simply in like one line through for yesterday, and then take that formula, drop it in ChatGPT and be like, okay, now give me this for last month, and then give me this for last quarter and last whatever. Now give me that for where I'm, what that is, and then you can divide it across the month or the quarter amount of days, and then get your daily average, which will then give you your trending number because then you just multiply it out, right? It's like where you're trending at based on where you're at actually for the month, broken down to the day, and then how many days are remaining, which is, the plus. So you can just feed these into GPT. Once you get the base formula, you can even probably get the base formula done for you in GPT, and then you just build them into a sheet, and that makes it dynamic. You can also hire someone to do it in Looker Studio. They'll do a ton of them. It's just like what you're asking to find the KPIs, which is just go department specific. And then for the overall, you just need to know the core numbers. So it's like cash movements is the biggest thing. So there's like leading indicators, and then, cash movements is kind of like the output, but knowing what connects to cash and like what your costs are, like what's your cost per booking right now? Like if you don't know it, like bad. What is your average cash collected per call? Right? It's like, is there a 4x spread between that? There's your new ROAS, roughly, depending, right? So like you need to know these numbers pretty quick and with it. And the second you don't know it and your cost per call is $400 and your average revenue collected or whatever is 500 on those calls, is like you're in a world of hurt into the future and you don't know it yet. So just make sure you know those core numbers from marketing and sales for the acquisition side. And then for costs, just do your averages. So if you have a coach, it's going to cost what per year versus what you got for per term. So if you're selling a 6-month program, a year program, one-time access, whatever, understanding what your costs are per unit, and then knowing if those change with volume. So if you have 1,000 clients, is it the same? So if you're doing like one-to-one coaching, it stays the same because you're paying them $100 to service something that's 1,000 or whatever, and it stays the same. Or if you have something that's like group coaching or like group calls or whatever, the more volume you do, the coach, generally speaking, may go up in tiers, but it's pretty consistent. So the percentage goes down. So just making sure you can keep those in alignment. Hopefully that made sense. But all right, what are we at? 38 minutes in. Hope this was helpful for you guys. If you go to www.ryanclogg.com/doc, I do all these videos every day, and I document them in here with what the main idea is, the YouTube link and the category. So marketing, tech, ops, sales, mindset, all the things. And yeah, daily update is we're crushing in the right direction. So I don't want to give too much because I want to give a good end of month for May, but over 6 figures a day for the last few and doing the right things. So just need to stay consistent. And we have a bunch of stuff changing. Saturday right now. We're launching some new stuff on Monday, so feeling good about that. And then the X growth and the YouTube growth is great. So appreciate all the support on that. Share this where you see them. Comment on this one. I'm trying to get a gauge on what you guys enjoy and don't. And I just made a post. I think I'm going to do more one-to-one videos of just what is working now, just with absolute sickos in online space and in the world, just what's working now for them. Not really any story of like background story in the classic like podcast style stuff. It's just like what's working now, what is I don't know what's working now. I feel like that's a good enough question right now. So yeah, start there, and I appreciate you guys, and talk soon.